On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a bounce-back win against the Raptors. Is everything coming together for the Mavericks? What does Exom bring to the table? How did PJ Washington get his offense going? That's right. We're back. We're back, baby. We're back.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
10 Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let me know in the comment section what's one thing that stood out to you in the Mavs game versus the Raptors. Oh, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the return of Exom. What did he bring to the table? How did PJ Washington get his offense going? We'll talk about Kyrie turning it on in the fourth quarter. Some great stuff, as always. Today's episode is brought to you by Grammarly. Make a bigger impact at work with Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. And we'll just sit here and let it ride. Joining me, as always, on a post game. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Whatever you do not look at Max Strus's box score tonight.
Tonight? Oh my God! Do I dare?
No, I literally told you not to.
Do I dare? I'm feeling bad today.
I'll just tell you this: they subbed them out of the game in crunch time.
I'm feeling bad today. Max Strus is 1 of 6 from 3.
I told you not to look.
He's what? He's 8 of 16 in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that game is behind us. We won't talk about. Actually, let's start. I want to start here. The game against the Cavs was so nuts, was so insane. The loss was just so unpalatable. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm using it. Mark Falwell, who is like a very kind, like gracious person, has been very nice to me in my career, has come on this show, friend of the show, never has like a bad word to say about anybody, even if you try and get goaded out of him. Mark Falwell on the Mavs broadcast in the Raptors game was talking about how he was walking around Toronto wanting to fight somebody yesterday because that's how bad that Cavs loss was the other night. And I bet you listening, I bet many of you felt the same way too. I just want to fight somebody. I swear. I just want to see like somebody do something illegal in front of me so I could just like, run
Vigilante.
detain them. Yeah.
So I have an excuse.
Oh
Isn't
my
that what
gosh.
makes sports so awesome though? Like just the communal, everyone at once going through that horrible experience.
Well, Falwell was even saying to Harp, he's like, I don't know how you guys did this as players, right? Like the players there's like the mentality to be a player and to go through a loss like that and to bounce back and to win a game like this in Toronto the very next night. You just have to fly up and you'd think that it's all right, flush the game behind you. Leslie McCaslin brought this up in the broadcast. You think that you just flush the past game, and Kyrie Irving said, nope, don't flush the game. You learn from it, you move on. And I think they learned from some things in that game. And we saw in this game, the Mavs offense just seemed a lot more cohesive. It seemed like the Mavs were playing a lot more, like they were playing together. It felt like a lot more, and they got other guys going.
Yeah, but that's what last night we were talking, like, it's maybe a good thing that they have a back-to-back because you have no choice but to just move on. You travel right after the game. Yeah, you're on a plane immediately, and then you wake up and it's shoot around, and it's, go time a couple hours later. So, their offense was incredible tonight. I mean, it's if you get these shooting performances, they didn't shoot like well from 3 as a team necessarily, like percentage-wise, 35% is just kind of whatever. But if you get 5 of 10 from PJ Washington and 4 of 10 from Tim Hardaway Jr., it's going to be really difficult to beat the Mavericks when their offense is clicking like that from the others. Because Luka and Kyrie will score in other ways if their shot's not falling. And those two combined for 3 of 14 from 3. But
I'll take you one a step further. The Mavs did not shoot well from 3 in this game, and they still had an amazing offense. And that's what we're seeing from this Mavs team post-trade, especially now bringing in Exom, is that you can have a game where you shoot bad from 3. When your 2 stars go 3 of 14 combined in the game, and you still end up having a dominating offense. Like that's a different look than what we've seen from this Mavericks team for 3-4 years. I mean, honestly, like a long time.
No, I mean, if the role guys are hitting threes, usually they're going to be difficult to beat, but they do. I mean, 136 points is just, again, when you made 15 threes and 35%, that's a huge scoring output where you're just kind of getting whatever they want. I mean, they legitimately got whatever they wanted defensively tonight.
Yeah, it was great to see. And it starts with Luka Doncic. His third quarter run, I thought, was just one of those where this is what a good team does, right? And you wish that you've seen it a couple more times, but this is what a good team does. Played it pretty even throughout the first half. I was texting back and forth with Sean Woodley from Lockdown Raptors. Like, this is a fun game. Like, they're going back and forth, and it's not one of those where you can get mad at refs or like something else. It's like, they're just both teams are just hitting each other in the mouth. Then you come out in the third quarter. Mavs win that quarter 40-25. They go on like a 25-7 run in the middle of it. Luka has 11 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals in the quarter. Like, it just is what an MVP type player comes out and does. Just takes over a quarter in multiple different ways. And I thought that was where the game really changed. The Mavs really actually took control of it.
Yeah, because ultimately you'd like to think this is the 5th game in a row the Raptors have scored 120 points. But even with that scoring output, you'd like to think, all right, if we get into a shootout with the Raptors, we like our chances because we have the firepower, where the Raptors are going to be heavily reliant on bombing threes, which they were doing in the first half of the game. And then it comes back to what we've said all year, where it's like, if their offense is clicking, which it was, especially in the third quarter, where they scored 40 points as a team, their defense just looks a million times better. And that was the case as well, because their defense rotations were crisp. They were flying around. Lots of active hands. You mentioned Luka steals, but how many? Yeah. I mean, Dereck Lively had 5 blocks and 2 steals. Kyrie had 2 steals, 7 blocks, or 7 steals for the team and 10 blocks. So active hands,
10 blocks. What is this team? What is that?
Is crazy. That's crazy. And then like 4 goaltends from Lively. I kind of respected that. Lively has taken the approach lately because he had one in the Cavs game that should have been a goaltend, but they called it a block, where he's like, this layup's probably going in. I'm not going to let you see it go in, though.
I have a theory.
What's that?
He can't see whether it goes off the backboard or not. Because if you heard the thing about his mask, he's wearing that crazy Batman mask. If you guys have seen the pictures or have watched the games of him, he's wearing the crazy mask, and he has said that he cannot just look around with his eyes. He has to turn his head. And so I think as he's going up, he's looking at the player so he doesn't foul them. He can't also both look up at the same time. And I think he's just swatting them because he's like, I've just got to go for it because he can't see the ball.
I like that theory. That's a pretty good one. That I bought in. That makes sense.
But I'm with you. I'll take it the whole way and go, you know what? It's a mentality thing. He's doing the Kevin Garnett. You ain't scoring on me. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're not seeing that go in.
I'll goaltend. It doesn't matter. That's not a foul.
Yeah.
I'll swat the ball after the whistle. Nothing goes in, right? Nothing on me.
There was a couple of those too, where after there was a foul on the floor and maybe a continuation, and then Gafford or Lively would swoop in and just swat it into the 5th row, so it wasn't an and one. I like it.
You love it. That third quarter run was great, and then Kyrie Irving in the fourth quarter, continued to push the pace. 15 points for him in the fourth quarter.
Jeez.
It's a revelation for this Mavs team. And this is what you would hope that a second star would be, that Porzingis never really brought, and that Brunson was on the cusp of doing. Mm-hmm. And then he went to the Knicks and he could have done this now if he was this version of Brunson, but just take over a quarter. Go take over a quarter and be able to do it multiple times in a row. And this is what Kyrie has brought to the Mavericks, that he can do, that he is a fully realized avatar. He can actually go out there and do it. And you love to see that. And just the ability for the rest of the Mavericks to be like, all right, every fourth quarter, Kyrie is going to start the quarter, and we're going to start in the positive, in the green, because he's just going to put us on his back.
I mean, I do wonder, I don't even know if I want to get into this type of conversation right now, but yes, that Brunson was kind of blossoming towards that.
Yeah.
But Brunson plays very similarly to Luka, where it's very methodical, very slow. And Kyrie has that to his game too. But Kyrie also likes to push the pace. And when you're playing with, a bench lineup, I think that is a little bit more advantageous for you, where you have a guy who's just going quick, and just, hey, get down the floor. The Kyrie might find you. We're going to try to get easy looks in transition. And Kyrie runs the transition offense incredibly well. So, yes, but I'm happy we have Kyrie.
Are you saying that the Brunson approach would be better with that bench unit? Or it sounded like you were saying it sounded like you were saying the Kyrie approach would be better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because you're saying
they got the better guy.
Yeah. Yes, Kyrie's been better than Brunson. Kyrie's better than Brunson. Kyrie is better than Brunson. The ceiling, I think, is a little bit higher as a number 2. I'm only saying that because we never saw Brunson like actually be
right
the 1B. Like he was blossoming into it, and now he's the 1A in New York. So.
And he'll never win a title as the 1A, apparently.
I can't believe that elicited that crazy of a reaction. Like, that is just...
one of the dumbest, like, discourse things we've had in NBA media in a while. Coming up, let's get into PJ Washington. How did he get his offense back? What did the rest of the team look like? This is a good role player game, too. We talked about Luka and Kyrie, but let's get into what the role players showed us and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered for all kinds of parts for your car, and they want to help you to be able to win your fantasy basketball league. Our partners at eBay Motors teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd, the GOAT, to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a draft each day or you're on the scouting the waiver wire, check out some of these players that Josh has. These are the eBay Guaranteed Fit fantasy picks of the week. If you're starting to look through some of these, he's got a couple of familiar names. Let's go with, maybe not Maxi Kleber's favorite name, but I'm going to go with the name that can help you. Dennis Schroeder. Josh says that with Ben Simmons coming off the bench and not being that good, and the Nets having an all important 5 games next week, Schroeder has short-term appeal. They got 5 games. That's a huge thing for fantasy. Check out Dennis Schroeder. He is on the Nets. I just want to remind everyone that because that is like a thing that like people would forget. He is on the Nets. So check that out. Dennis Schroeder for your fantasy team. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows the championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same for your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die, they can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly with brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your car needs, not just that stuff. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions, they do apply. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for listening to the show. And if you listened to yesterday's show, there's a special place for you in my heart. And especially if you listen to the whole thing. That's a real Raccoon Squad member right there.
All right, Slightly. Some therapy to get through it.
There's a lot of copium. There's a lot of therapy. A lot of that. And then, let's go to Locked On Raptors, and let's keep doing that. I want to keep doing this for every show. Go to Locked On Raptors on YouTube and leave like a good game or like something like that. Go Mavs. Just leave a go Mavs. Don't do anything mean. Sean's my guy, but yeah, good energy out into the universe. Go leave a comment over there. Good game. All that. GG's or something. All right, we talked about Luka. The third quarter run is awesome. Kyrie, the fourth quarter run is awesome. PJ Washington was the one bringing it in the first quarter. We finally saw PJ Washington's offense get going. 23 points for him. He hit 5 threes. He had 6 rebounds. He had 3 blocks himself, like you mentioned earlier. PJ Washington, how did his offense get going?
He shot threes that were not in the corner.
That is really true. That's a really good point, actually.
Like, it feels like and also, I think they tapped into something at the end of the Cavs game, which is, I went back and I watched that game today, watched all of it for a video.
No, you did not.
I swear to God.
I did the whole fourth quarter for subtext.
It was a good game of basketball. Like, it was a fun game, back and forth game between two great teams. And you could tell in the fourth quarter, they tapped into some stuff with PJ Washington there where they're using him as a roll man. He just looked a little bit more comfortable. And as I'm saying that, I just saw a quote on Twitter. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable each and every game. PJ Washington.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. Appreciate that context.
But
also, you're writing an article right in the middle of life. Like
according to PJ Washington.
The quote just popped up right in the perfect time. Wow.
But no, I would like to see him. The corner 3 stuff is very strange because they don't look even close. Like, that's what's weird.
Yeah.
They're very short and offline. Like, I don't know. That's got to be a mental thing because you don't just forget how to shoot in the corner. But every other place on the court, it feels pretty good for him. The 3 ball.
Yeah, tonight, he took 10. He missed 3 in the left corner, made 1 in the right corner, made 2 on the left wing, missed 1 on the left wing, and then went 2 for 3 on the right wing too. So you got that. Like, it does seem like there's something with the corners, but they got him the ball in different areas. Like, let him handle the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Let him be the roll man. Let him do some of the things that he does. That's not just take a catch and shoot shot. Like he's not a pure shooter. Like coming in, we knew this, that he is not, ideally he would be like your worst shooter on the court, right?
Yeah.
Like that he would be the guy that he can still make a shot and take a shot, but you want an elite shooter next to him. You want some kind of, big man shooter eventually, down the road. Hopefully Lively does that. And then Luka and Kyrie are just next level insane shooters. But you eventually want PJ to be like your worst shooter. And so give him opportunities in different other ways. He's got to be able to touch the ball. He can handle the ball a little bit. He can, hit in transition a lot. He's been good at that. And the thing that I've been harping on, the beginning of this week, I talked about put him in the pick and roll. Make him be the roll man. That's the thing he's been really good at the last couple of years in Charlotte. And they've run a couple of things like that with him. And it allowed him to get the ball, hit those little floaters that he likes to do, just get the ball somewhere else. And then the three ball will come along. And he's not going to shoot 19%. I kept harping on that. Like there's just no way he was going to keep shooting 19%.
You could tell too early in the game because he scored 10 points. I mean, lightning quick. And you could just tell the bench reaction anytime he scored. That was most certainly a point of emphasis for them, that they wanted to get PJ going early in the game. Like I always look at stuff like that because I know it sounds stupid, but I feel like you could tell. Like when PJ got a basket, there was more like on the bench than usual.
No, for sure. No, they want him to get going. They've seen how much he struggled, and like all the stuff that we noticed, the players would notice too. Like they know that. They know when somebody's struggling.
Plus, I think part of it too is like his defense has been so good. You want to reward that guy.
Yeah. It was good again tonight. The 3 blocks we mentioned, I thought he was really solid across the board. They needed him against the Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett combo. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. struggle against both those guys. Yeah. And then you see PJ Washington against, that's the difference between a bad defender and a good defender on one of these guys.
I saw somebody make a comment about it. I have no idea. I don't know where I saw it or those I'd credit it, but it was like, it's shocking when you watch PJ Washington play defense because it is like, oh, this guy is like a legit excellent defender. And then like some of the other guys on the roster, it's just a very stark difference.
It probably says more about where the Mavericks have been the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Because I've done that with both PJ as a perimeter defender and with Gafford as like a big physical center. Anytime he pushes somebody out of the way, rebounds, like gets a rebound that he wasn't expected to get. When you watch a player and the ball is coming towards them, you're like, oh, they'll get this rebound.
Yeah.
He'll get rebounds and sometimes you go, oh, he shouldn't be able to get that. And he'll get the rebound and you're like, yeah, it's just jarring watching those two guys do those, bring those skills to the table because the Mavericks have not had those skills for such a long time.
Yeah, and I know we didn't really talk about it much last night because we were just a mess of emotions. But I mean, PJ was incredible in the fourth quarter of that game defensively too. So really, outside of the Indiana game and a game in which I think pretty much everyone on the team struggled defensively, it's been, what is that now, 10 games of great defense from PJ Washington? Like legit, very good defense.
I think it's like 7.
Is it only 7?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
5.
Actually.
It was 5 before these last 2. So
that makes sense.
But yeah, no, he's been great. And then we'll talk about Gafford real quick here since I brought him up. 13 points, 7 boards, 4 offensive boards. Maxey didn't play in this game, and so Gafford had to play the backup center minutes. He got the 24 minutes that he got to play. I thought that was perfect. And he just fit really well. Like he just was real big and physical, and he made Kelly Olynyk look like a bad backup center.
Yeah,
which he's not.
Yeah, that was a nice little matchup for Gafford there where you could punish. There are certain teams I feel like where if they have a smaller center and they're spacing the floor, Gafford might not be able to see the floor like the Cavs last night, where that's just a really difficult matchup. But the Raptors aren't that great of a shooting team. So when they go small, you can have Gafford out there to just really, really punish that size. And that's exactly what he did tonight.
He also had a play where he took the ball and like drove it like on the it was in the first half where he drove it on the left side and the ball came off the rim and you're like, oh, that was a bad finish, and got his own rebound and put it back just like nobody else was there basically.
Yeah.
It's just jarring seeing some of the stuff that he can do.
That looked like an Andre Drummond type play to me where he's like,
definitely.
It's like, what is he doing? Like, who told him to put the ball on the floor? And then he gets the offensive rebound. You're like, all right. At least he did the dirty work there to clean up.
He was great. Coming up, let's talk about some of the other role players that did really well. I thought Lively had a pretty solid game as well. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about Dante Exum and what he brings to the rotation. How does he make it more cohesive? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Grammarly. Grammarly has all of us covered with all of our typos all the time. I've got it. I've got the app I've got on my desktop. I've also got the browser extension. It works with a ton of different websites. I think they say like 500,000 apps and websites it works with. It's insane. You use Grammarly to work on emails, reports, presentations. They're all equally important to the collaboration needed to get things done. Grammarly can help you with it. And it's not just fixing typos, not just a spell check either. It'll help you craft better, more impactful writing. Grammarly works across, like I said, 500,000 different apps and websites. And by understanding your writing and context, Grammarly provides relevant, personalized suggestions. It's got that AI in it so that it knows it can read what you're writing. And when you used to write in like Microsoft Word and Clippy would pop up and it'd tell you, like, let me help you try and write this. This is that, but it works, right? Like this is that, but it actually helps you. So check out Grammarly, make a bigger impact at work with Grammarly or in your daily life. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast, Grammarly.com/podcast. Easier said, done.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. Subscribe. Easier said, done. Do that. You like that? You like that tagline at the end of that one?
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a good one.
Let's talk about Dereck Lively. Started again in this game. Played less than Daniel Gafford, actually. I was surprised by that. Gafford got a little run at the end of the game. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 5 blocks for Dereck Lively. A solid output for him. Having both of these guys at center is it's a revelation having 2 centers.
Yeah, his rim protection was pretty damn good tonight. And I don't know about was Gafford out there like at the end when the game was pretty much out of reach?
He played a little bit and he played a little bit in garbage time, but he also played late in the fourth quarter too, where they were ending the game.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great luxury to have those two. It just is. This is what I don't know if we said this on the show last night, but because Gafford
Probably
had 7
not.
minutes. Yeah, probably not. God knows what you're talking about. Because Gafford only had 7 minutes and people were talking about it. It's like the Mavericks made these trades to be more versatile, where there's not a lot of ways you can beat them now. It's not just, all right, we have a bunch of size, we're going to beat the Mavs. No, because now we have Daniel Gafford. But we still have options if it's a game where they need to go small. Yep. So, having just this luxury now of multiple different ways you could play the game is great.
Luxury, or what most good NBA teams call it's the status quo.
Yeah, just standard roster building.
Speaking of roster building, Dante Exum returns in this game for the first time since like basically the start of 2024.
Yeah. And
he plays 16 minutes. He hits 1 3, goes to the free throw line once, 5 assists for him in this one. And it just to me made everything kind of like work and make sense a little bit more, especially because he's a solid defender. So instead of trying to figure out all right, should it be Tim? Should it be Hardy getting these minutes? Neither of them are good defenders at all. You feel better about Hardy handling the ball than Tim Hardaway, but having Exum come in and be that guy, I felt like has made this rotation feel more cohesive and make more sense.
I'm all for wrapping Exum in bubble wrap or playing him 15 minutes a game. Like that's serious. You need this guy in a playoff series. Like you're gonna need him. You're gonna need that stability. You're gonna need that guy who can play next to Luka with Kyrie off the floor, and you still have 2 great ball handling threats, or play with Kyrie when Luka's off the floor, like the start of the fourth quarter, where the Mavericks were just exchanging blows with the Raptors who try to make a final push. And Exum had a couple of assists, and there was one play where Exum, draws the attention, and Kyrie's wide open for a 3 on a kick out. And it's like, that's, to have another guy who could do something like that is just great. They just need him healthy. He has to be healthy down the stretch of the season.
Or
that's
what?
It. Or, I mean, your ceiling is lowered.
Wow.
I think Exum actually raises the ceiling. Like, it's just really important to have, because I don't know if you saw this stat that was going around today, but in the last 25 games or so, I'm trying to pull it up right now because I retweeted it. But in the last 15 games, the Mavs have been +8 when Luka's on the floor and -19 when he's off.
Yeah.
So they've been getting killed in those minutes. And some of those 15 games, Kyrie wasn't playing, and all of those games, Exum wasn't playing. So they need him.
It's wild how important he's become to this team, but he really is.
Is.
Like, he has definitely found money for them. We should at some point do like a role player draft for like, all right, who's the most important role player for the Mavericks after Luka and Kyrie? But yeah, Exum was really great. Just coming back and just seeing how he fits in there. I don't think he had a great like individual game, but he still was solid and brought exactly what this team needs and took the ball out of Tim Hardaway's hands which is something they really needed to do. But speaking of him, he bounced back a little bit. 4 of 10 from 3. He started 4 of 8, in the first half, and so he didn't really take that many shots in the second half. 5 of 13 from the field overall. He had 4 assists and 16 points. He was a plus 14. Yeah, I thought he had a great bounce back game.
Yep, Timmy knocking down shots. Maybe it's not a coincidence that Exum comes back and Tim has his best offensive output in what feels like ages, because maybe it's just a little bit less pressure on him, and it's just, all right, Tim, go stand here, and we'll get you a good look.
I don't think that's a coincidence at all.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely something that contributed to it, because you just can't have the ball in his hands. Like he can't be creating. He's got to be shooting. He's got to be finishing plays. He can do a little bit of like the stop, pull up, jumper, that kind of stuff, but you don't want him doing that. 25 minutes for him too. He's not play. He's still his minutes have been down. He is not playing the full 30 minutes that he was playing before the trade. Yeah, and so that continues to be a theme. No minutes for Hardy because of Exum's return.
Yeah.
You care about that?
It's a little interesting. I kind of feel bad for Hardy because I feel like he's done everything you've wanted him to do over the last month or so. Like, he's played well and he's passed really well. It just feels like he's doing some of the little things that we've been wanting. And, they're married to Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, Jason Kidd has been quoted as saying, "We need you. We need you to be good." And I don't know. Maybe I think Tim will have like a crazy quarter where he'll win a quarter for the Mavs in the playoffs, and it'll all turn around.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. Or like the Mavs 24 hours ago were like, yeah, who knows? They lose tomorrow night, and there's some interesting draft prospects. There's some interesting guys who could help.
You mean
later? It's like, yeah, the playoffs, like Dante Exum is going to be huge.
They still
are. Think about this though. 2 years ago. Wait, no, that's 3 years ago now because the Mavericks did make the playoffs last year. 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
No, 3 years ago against the Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
The non-Luka minutes were so brutally bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just having like a Dante Exum would have won the series for the Mavericks in that series. Like, he would have swung that series.
They're starting Boban.
They were starting Boban, but they were getting killed. That's just still
unironically starting Boban.
And gave him 30 minutes in a game 7. I mean, that was just... That's like one of those things that will be talked about in years when it comes to Luka, because Boban will like retire and go on to do some type of media thing, and he'll just be kind of remembered for that. And
I think the Mark Cuban like Donnie Nelson lawsuit is coming back up.
Oh,
I think honestly, seeing Boban start in the playoffs put Cuban over the edge.
That was it.
Listen,
you're going to court, buddy.
We can't. No, Donnie's the one that's suing you. It's the other way around.
I would have sued. Fans should have sued.
Get ready to learn attorney, buddy.
We need to bring that. We need like a sports czar to look over things that we could go to. It's like, hey, yeah, the Mavericks just gave Boban 30 minutes in a game 7. Who can I speak to?
We need like a NATO. We need like some kind of some sports NATO where we can bring that to
someone to step in and save these teams from themselves.
That's what the Stepien rule is in the draft. You can't trade draft picks in consecutive years.
They need to get rid of that rule. That needs to be really changed.
No, because we just talked about how dumb teams are sometimes.
But that rule was there because teams were so dumb. I don't think teams are that dumb anymore.
I think they're still that dumb.
I would love if that rule was gone. Just trade those things.
It would very much help the Mavericks.
It would.
Mavericks get the win. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they're in 8th place in the Western Conference. They would be 5th in the East right now.
It's crazy. Well, isn't it funny though? After their 7-game winning streak, they made up no ground. It felt like, but
they didn't.
After going 1-2 in their last 3 games, they have a real chance to move up to 6 going into the game against the Celtics if the Suns lose tomorrow night.
They're a half game. They're a half game out of 5th right now.
I mean, that's why us fans get so worked up after each game and loss because it is that close. But it's another reminder. It's like these other teams are losing games too. Like all of these teams in this category, the Mavs, there's no team that's just like, all right, we're the 5 seed now. Like we're planting our flag and that's it. So you just gotta hope you're the best one to close out the last 2 months of the season. That's really it.
The Kings are still playing right now, right?
Yeah, they're getting obliterated.
Okay, the Suns are 34-24. Pelicans are 35-25. Kings are 33 and they're going to be 25. The Mavs are 34-25. It's insanely close right now.
They'll be 7th by the time you're listening to this.
Two of those teams are going to be in the playoffs, and 2 of them, and play the Nuggets and Clippers, and 2 of them are going to be in the play-in and may not make the playoffs.
Well, that's the ultimate dilemma where it's like if you could guarantee a play-in win, like you knew you were going to make the play-in but win the game, like you'd rather play the Timberwolves or the Thunder. That's just how it works. Because the Nuggets
first round, you fight and claw and get up to what, 6th, and then your first round series is the Nuggets. Yep. Damn it! Like, what are we doing?
That's the only series right now where I would say my delusional self wouldn't pick the Mavericks. I would pick the Mavericks to win every other series in the West. Genuinely.
This man is named Slightly Biased, and he wouldn't pick them.
I would genuinely pick them to beat every other team in the West. I could not get there for the Nuggets.
I would too. I've been on that. They match up a little bit better after the trades, and then their bench versus the Nuggets bench would be interesting. Like any of the minutes that Jokic sits would be interesting, and then Adam Mares has been on record saying that the Mavs have a 45% chance to win, which is insane to me. Yeah,
maybe I could talk myself into it.
I'll send you that clip. All right. There you go, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. I believe Dana Larson on the show tomorrow night. So Thursday night. Bally Sports' own Dana Larson will be on the show.
Shout out to Bally.
And then we'll have you covered on Friday for the Mavs Celtics game. That game will be a big, fun one. Be on national TV as well. And then over the weekend, Mavs Sixers Sunday. Be here for that as well. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.